What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Windows Basics. This is going to be part 2 of this series. And today we are going to go over file structure and organization. Now, I mentioned organization. I use that word because the primary purpose of a file structure in Windows or any operating system is to organize files. So that is where the organization comes in. So what I'm going to introduce to you now is called the File Explorer. It is this little yellow folder down here on your taskbar. And go ahead and click that and let's get that opened. If you don't have that little yellow folder down there, just simply click your start and use your search and just type Explorer and you should find that. So generally when File Explorer pops up, I have mine set differently, but generally when it pops up, it starts on the Home tab here. In fact, I'll show you how to change that real quick. I always change it to pop up on my computer, or you guys might know this as this PC. In a previous video, I showed you how to change that. But anyway, if you go here to these three little dots and you go to Options, first thing that you see right here is Open File Explorer to this PC. That's what I changed it to. Generally, it is set to home. You definitely do not have to change this. That is up to you. I just like it set on this PC. But we'll show you what happens when you have it set on default. Open it up. It will open right up here to the Home tab. And it will give you some quick access to these different folders here, desktops, downloads, documents. Looks exactly like what you see right here because that's what it is. These are also pinned quick access folders. And these are named appropriately because, and we'll go into this a little bit further, but this is where these things go. When you download stuff, your browser is typically set to this folder to download it in here. Your documents go in here, pictures, music, videos, and so on. So that is how those are organized. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's go down here to my computer. This is generally, like I said, where my Explorer starts. And we're going to start by showing you guys some things in here. So in here, you'll first see devices and drives. And this is your disk drives. You'll have a local C, or this might say Windows for you. And that is almost 100% of the time your Windows or operating system drive is the C drive. I've seen it different just a small handful of times, but almost 100% of the time, this is going to be your C drive, and that is going to be your local disk. Now, you can have additional drives in your computer. This one has another drive here. As you can see, it's completely empty. This gray here indicates completely empty. The blue on these drives actually indicates that's how much data is being taken up. That is what is on there. And as you can see, I have a network drive on here too that goes to my primary system, and I can grab files off that network or share with my wife's computer, or whatever the case is. But again, when you open to my computer, you see your drives and everything here. Now, a drive or disk drive, consider a drive to be like a container or a drawer that you store things in. That's all this is. So your C drive is usually your primary drive. Like I said, this usually holds the operating system, locations to where programs are installed, pictures, documents, etc., like I showed you here. Other drives or other containers could be drives for backups or additional data when you don't want to fill up your primary drive here. So it's always good to have like an extra drive if you don't have such a really big capacity primary drive. It's always good to have one or two other ones. On my main system, I have like 3 total. So again, just backups. Some people use a second drive as like their gaming drive, so all their game files are on there. So again, just think of these as containers or drawers where to keep things. Now, if you pop into any of these drives, like we'll double click on the E drive here, and you can see it's empty. So there's really nothing to navigate and show you. So let's go back and go to your C drive. Now, once you go to your C drive, you see these are called folders. They're yellow. Generally, the folders, the yellow indicates a folder, and it will actually say file folder over here. So this is the file structure. So once you go into the primary drive, which again is this is your file structure, and I will go through some of these things here. First thing I want to show you is the program files folders. Now there are two of them. As you can see, there's regular program files and there's program files x86. Now, what the program files is, these are where most of your programs or applications are installed. So if you go into program files, you'll see a whole list of names of programs. Now, the difference between program files and program files x86, regular program files here, this directory is where your 64-bit applications are installed by default. And that's on 64-bit versions of Windows, which most Windows operating systems are 64-bit today. Now, the program files x86, if you have any 32-bit applications, which is usually older programs being installed on a 64-bit version of Windows, this is where those are installed by default. So again, program files is where your 64-bit version of your applications are, and the program files x86 is where your 32-bit version of the applications are installed. And so that's pretty much what you need to know right now. That's kind of just the basics. We might cover that a little bit deeper in upcoming videos on this Windows Basics tutorial or the series, whatever we're calling it. So let's move on here. So again, we've slipped into the C drive where all of your data is, or most of your data for your operating system. And let's take a look at the users folder. Now, when you first set up your Windows and it asks you who's going to be using this computer and you type your name, that file or that folder for your user profile is going to appear here. So it's going to be local disk C, users, and then your name. Now, as you see, I have two profiles here. And within this, it's going to have all of your data, like, again, documents, downloads, everything that we saw over here and saw in the home directory earlier. So let's see. And no, I can't go back to that. So okay. So we're back. We're back into the users and then my user profile name, which is Sam, my name. Now, the users folder, again, generally located at the C drive /users. We click in here, we see the path of that. We'll go over path in a minute. But this is a central location in the Windows operating system where user profiles are stored, documents, pictures, stuff like that. It's very simple. And so when it comes to organization, when you put pictures in your computer, you unload your camera and you want to store the pictures in your computer, you would put those in the pictures file here. You would just copy those all right here. And the same thing, if you had a bunch of documents that you wanted to put in your computer, those would go under documents right here, where I have a few, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later. So Windows has done a very good job of kind of laying this out exactly how it needs to be to organize things. Again, videos, if you have videos that you want to load into your computer, they will go in your videos file, in your videos folder, under your user profile. I've seen people throw anything that they can think of just all over the desktop. That's not where they go. If you don't have a super high-end computer and you're throwing things on the desktop because it takes a little bit longer to load all that stuff when you start your computer, you're going to slow your computer down. Again, that's for older systems. If you have a high-end computer with a lot of RAM, good processor, probably not going to notice a difference. But get into the habit of putting things where they go. Like I've said in a previous video, I'd like you to think of this as, out here, your desktop, that is your desk, that's your workspace, and your File Explorer is like your file cabinet. So you don't leave pictures and documents and everything else all over your desk all the time. You store them away where they go. So that's just kind of a little bit how that works, and that explains the users folder. So let's go back a little bit. And next, I want to show you the Windows folder here. Now, the Windows folder, it's kind of a core directory in the Windows operating system. It's kind of it contains essential files and resources, kind of necessary. Well, more than kind of, definitely necessary for the functioning of your Windows operating system. So it's critical for the operating system, and modifying or deleting anything within the Windows directory here, it can severely impact your system stability, functionality, performance. You can actually, if you delete or modify the wrong thing, you can crash your Windows to where your system will not boot, and then you'll have to get further help for that. So, unless you really know what you're doing, don't do anything in here. But sometimes techs need to go in here. They've got the System 32 folder in here. And you can just dig deeper. You can go down, like the syswow folder is very important. Don't do anything with that. Now your host file for network routing and everything else is also in this Windows directory somewhere. I don't recommend messing with that unless you really, really, really know what you're doing. So always back out of that. I just wanted to show that to you because it is a critical part of how Windows operates. Okay, so let's go back here and let's talk about file paths. Now, a file path is basically the address used to locate and identify files and folders within your Windows system. And let me show you some of this here. A file path consists of a few different parts. First of all, it's going to consist of the drive letter, which in this case, it is C. And so if we click on that, our current file path is C, also known as the root of the drive, meaning the very lowest that you can go in the drive. And that would be C, because you can't go any lower than C. Now, if you went up one directory, like users, you are no longer in the root. You got the root drive and then a users folder. And so let's go back. We are in the drive of C here. And that is the first part of what is contained in a file path is the drive letter. Now, your second part of what is contained in a file path is, let's just put them together. You've got your colon and your backslash here. Now, these slashes are used as separators between directories and files. So we are in, let's go say C users, and then we go to my user profile. If you click up in here, you will see the C drive, the root, colon backslash, then you have another folder, users, and then that is separated with a backslash, and then another folder, which is my user directory. So that is the current path that we were looking at. And these things here, the SAM and the users, those are directory names or folder names. And so far, that is three parts of a file path: the drive, the colon and backslash, and a directory or folder name, or multiple directory or folder names. And then last, you have the fourth part of this, and this is not always the case, but say you were looking for documents. So this is our path right now, C users, SAM documents, and then say you're looking for a file. And so that file is there. So the file name is not always going to be a part of the path, but this whole path here is the path to get to this. It's kind of like a road. Somebody says, hey, how do I get to Phoenix, Arizona? And you give them step-by-step directions. What you've given them is a path to get there. And this is a little bit different, but kind of the same idea. You have to go to the root C and then those different folders to be able to get to the path of these files here. So the path of all of these files is going to be this here. And that's just kind of how file paths work. Anyway, guys, that is it for this part of the Windows basics. I will be releasing these every couple weeks. I don't know how many there will be. I'm just kind of building them and going with them as time goes on. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. Happy to answer anything that I can. If this was a little bit confusing, or if you just need clarification on something, and go ahead, if you don't mind, click the like button and consider subscribing for more, guys.